broadcasting live from the Roanoke Valley of southwestern Virginia. Join us and see what life looks like from a medium's perspective with Reverend Tracy Lockwood, the medium's medium. We'll explore the tools of psychic development, hear stories and experiences from the other side, and learn to listen to our natural intuition. Now, our host, Reverend Tracy Lockwood.
Hello, beautiful lights, and welcome to another episode of From a Medium's Perspective. You are just going to have to hang on to your hats. You will not believe who is on the radio show today. And before we get going, I just want to mention that if you're interested in one-on-one private tutoring for psychic mediumship or live webinar group training for either psychic mediumship development or certification, check it out on my website at mediumtracylockwood.com. Okay, so I promised you a good one, and here it is. Our guest today is a renowned paranormal investigator. He is best known for his prominent roles on the cable-to-web series Scared and the television series Haunted Collector. He is a paranormal expert, a tech-savvy investigator, and he's become a well-respected and beloved paranormal educator and investigatory trainer with a worldwide audience. In 2016, he served as the lead global investigator on the inaugural National Ghost Hunting Days World's Largest Ghost Hunt, where he led an experiment entitled The Bridge to try and link the world in a web of active collective consciousness. He lectures at colleges and universities on a wide array of paranormal topics, and he calls himself a wanderer on a path of adventure and discovery. It is my extreme pleasure to introduce to you today our guest, Brian J. Cano. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Tracy, how are you?
Really well, really well. Our listeners often like to snoop about and check out our guests, so I'm going to go ahead and give them your website, and that is neverstopsearching.com. So if you want to check out Brian J. Cano while he's here on the show, or afterwards, his website is neverstopsearching.com. Well, I met you at St. Albans in Radford, Virginia, at a paranormal event, and I was just thrilled that you decided that you'd come on the show. One of the reasons that I started the show is to try to give people an inside look at those of us that deal with those things beyond. And I guess I'd like to ask you, how has being a paranormal investigator changed the way that you perceive life?
Well, at first I didn't think it did because, and the important word here is perspective. And I found that perspective colors everything that we see and everything that we are if we don't choose to separate ourselves from it. But when I first started investigating in 2002, I was very much a skeptic. And when I was young, I pretty much believed in everything, because when you're a child, you're very open to pretty much everything. You've got Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, Jesus, insert
Right.
deity here, whatever.
Sure.
And as you get older, you kind of start picking and choosing and sifting through those things and deciding what to keep. And a lot of times when you come out of college, there's a certain, jadedness that precludes all your interactions. So when I started investigating the paranormal, I was in that mode. I was a skeptic. I had a crisis of faith, and I really didn't believe in anything. So it was my duty to try and debunk all that I could and to try to find the rational, logical reasons for the reports that people were giving in. And as the years went by, reading and researching, going on cases, getting mentored, going through all the steps, just really getting into the trenches. That changed my perspective. And it wasn't just something, it wasn't one event. A lot of times people ask me, what's the one thing that changed you? It wasn't really one event. Years had passed, and I looked back and went, wow, I was looking around. I'm in a much different place than I was. And here I am now, it's 2017, and I'm talking about things like intent and the other side and spirit and, you know, all these seemingly intangible kumbaya feel-good things that back in 2002, if that version of myself and the current version of myself ever met up and had lunch, we would not get along.
Well, you know, I really respect the fact that you came into the field as a skeptic. A true skeptic is not someone that just said, oh, that's bullshit. It's somebody who says, really? Show me, prove it to me. And it sounds like you got your proof.
I think it's one of those things that, for me, and again, it wasn't one event that flipped the script. It was a lot of little things. And if you take each bit of learning and each experience as a single grain of sand, and then all of a sudden one day you look down and you find you're standing on a beach, that's very much how it was for me. It was just the realization was sudden, but the build-up was gradual.
Yeah, yeah. You know, when people hear about paranormal investigation, you know, if I know for me, when they find out that I'm a psychic medium, you know, they're like, read my mind. What am I thinking? Or, you know, ooh, do you have a crystal ball? You know, there's always some kind of sarcastic not always, but sometimes approach that people come with. Do people have a total misperception of the seriousness of being a paranormal investigator?
I think it depends on how it is that they were introduced to me, because it's funny, and I realized this week, I get recognized more at supermarkets and retail outlets than I do at paranormal conventions. You go to a paranormal convention, they're like, who's seen Ghost Hunters? Who's seen Ghost Adventures? And the hands go up, everyone's, woo! Who's seen Haunted Collector? There's a couple of hands. And for the people who saw it, obviously John Zaffis is the star of the show, and he's the man.
Mm-hmm.
I go to supermarkets, and people are like, oh my God, you look so familiar. Oh, you're on that show.
Wow.
And I usually try to avoid it, and I say, well, who do you think I am? Well, and I let them come to it, and when they do, it's you know, it's nice, it's cool. It's just funny that more people outside of the paranormal know who I am than people inside the paranormal.
Oh, that is interesting. That is interesting. You know, you've coined a term. I think you're, you know, hashtag paralophacy. Paralophacy. Yes. I think I'm saying that right.
You got it.
Tell them a little bit about that tag.
Paralophacy, I mean, the hashtag is kind of a humorous anchoring in today's method of getting things circulated. But paralophacy is just a mashup of the two words, paranormal and philosophy. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, and myself included, we like to focus on process. How? What are the methods of investigation? What's the equipment we need? What is, you know, how? And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, like I said, a lot of my method events are designed to make people better investigators. But on the larger scale, I'm concerned less with the how and more with the why. And a lot of people in the paranormal get to it by watching the TV shows, but they don't go any further. They see and then they do. Yeah. And that's a problem. So I want people out there to think more and do less. And if they, you know, there's no need to run out and go do everything right now. The paranormal will not be proven or solved this weekend. We have time. So
it's kind of since the dawn of time.
And do less. Yeah. And for the most part, I stole that from carpentry. That's a mod off of the measure twice, cut once.
Right. Right.
saying. So there's no need to really tackle this stuff until you're ready. So paralosophy, all the things that I'm trying to put forth under that banner are about really questioning why we do the things we do, why we use the methods we use. Like, for example, EMF. Okay.
Uh-huh.
We all run around with EMF detectors. Why? Well, the current theory, spirits are either comprised of electromagnetic energy or they disturb the EM field as they pass through it, and that's what we're measuring. Either way, we haven't come any closer in the last 15 years to locking anything empirical down about that theory. And it's not even a theory, it's a hypothesis. So I want people to kind of think, maybe there's another way. Maybe there's something else we should be looking at, because the only progress we've made is awareness, which is good,
Mm-hmm.
and more gadgets with more lights that pretty much do the exact same thing as electrical equipment did 10, 15 years ago. So I really want people to push, and especially when I see an investigator show up with, suitcases and cases and cases of equipment, they open it up. I go, hey, what's that? What does that do? Oh, I don't know. I saw Zach use it last week.
Oh, yeah.
It grinds my gears.
Yeah. Tell some of the listeners might not have heard of the method events that you host and lead. Tell us a little bit about those.
Let's see. Over the past few years, I've been appearing. It's been a while. I've been appearing at events since around 2009. There was a few ones before that, but really on the circuit since 2009. So it's been about 8 years. A few years back, I did an event at a place called the Seven Sisters Inn in Ocala, Florida. And my events, when I do them solo and not part as like a big event like the one you and I were at, I like to really have them focus on education. For me, this is not an amusement park. It's not a roller coaster ride. So, if you want to go and get scared by ghosts, it's going to thrill. Hey, there's places for you to go do that. Here with me, when you leave that event, I want to engender you with the knowledge to be a better investigator, to do things the right way, or at least to have enough questions in your head that for the next couple of weeks you'll be thinking, that's interesting. I'm going to mull that over. So the owner of the inn, she goes, we really have to, you should brand that. You should market that. I said, I don't know. Well, I guess so. She's like, well, come back here, do another event, and, it'll be your training weekend. I said, okay, well, I've done those. It hasn't had a title. So she goes, what about the Cano method? I said, that sounds like birth control. I don't really want to do that.
Right.
So we couldn't think of anything better, so it got shortened to the method. And
That's cool.
The past few years, I've been having events at different haunted locations, Rolling Hills, Penhurst, all over the country. And when you come, it's training. You are in school's in session, and hopefully you leave as a better, more thoughtful investigator.
Yeah. What would you say? You said sort of getting a little extra enthusiastic with equipment that you may not even know how to operate is definitely a beginner mistake. What are some other things that people do that could be avoided, but they're just ignorant of the whole field, basically?
Well, I think that as far as process goes, in line with equipment, take EVP sessions. And this is one of the basic things that I put forth at my events. When you're doing an EVP session, you are not even though it's technically scientific because you're using equipment and you're going to be using a process that is repeatable. You're not tracking weather systems. You're not digging up rocks for a geological survey. You're not doing science in the traditional sense of it, and people mistake tech with science. You're trying to reach out to personalities. You're trying to speak to people. So you have to be personable. And you can always tell the people who are either new or watch too many of the TV shows because they do this and they say this phrase verbatim. They say it exactly. They hold up their digital recorder, and they say, "Are there any spirits in here who wish to communicate? Please make your presence known." And I can make fun of them because I used to say those words exactly.
Yeah.
And that's because I felt like I was being official. I was being, these are the words to say. And honestly, who speaks like that?
Right.
You don't walk into a room and go, "Hello, hi, my name is Tracy, and perhaps I could pontificate with your future or with my abilities." Like, no.
Yes.
They'll think you need your medication upped, and you just got to be a person where you go, "Hey, hi, my name is Brian. I'm here with some friends. We're looking to talk to you. Maybe you could tell us what your name is." And I always tell people, try to infuse some of yourself with it too. My friend Chris, he's always like, "Hey, my favorite color is black. What's yours?" By giving a piece of yourself, it becomes less an interrogation and more of a conversation, or at least something that
It's more respectful
be,
of what's going on for people too. Yeah.
I mean, if I went into your house, I'm like, "What's your name? Who are you? How old are you? When did you die?" I would answer those questions.
Yeah. I feel very, I don't know, protective of spirits, but, those that tend to be earthbound or caught or looping or whatever, they're usually in some state of confusion or agitation. Do you find that for the most part? I know there are other types of beings and other.
It's difficult for me. It's difficult for me to comment on that, mainly because I don't have the medium sense of communication, in that I feel like I'm being spoken to. I need devices to get that translation. So some things are lost. I mean, of course, unless you're getting something like "help me" or "it hurts us," then obviously that's obvious. But it's not like I could walk into a room and not get EVPs, but get the sense, "Ooh, they're hiding, they're watching us, they're observing." I don't have that sense.
Oh, okay. Do you feel sometimes sort of a density of energy or something? Because we all, like, if somebody walks up behind us in a room, we kind of know somebody's behind us in a room, kind of thing. Do you get that base sense that there's activity in a particular quadrant or area?
In doing the work, I have been able to discern when I feel something, but I can't translate into it's an old man and he's angry. That's
Right.
when I'll pull in another team member who's psychically inclined and say, "Hey, I'm feeling weird here. Can you come over here and kind of check it out for me? What's going on right here? Or what's going on in this room?" Or something like that.
Yeah, and you work in a team, generally speaking, so you have different people sort of playing different roles or manning different roles there. Do you usually work with who do you usually work with, like, in a team?
A preferred layout for me, many years ago, we started using what we call the 3-pillar system. 3 pillars are the psychic, scientist, and skeptic. And these are 3 different viewpoints to make a more well-rounded investigation. And I feel that it's a system of checks and balances, because, again, on one side you have the skeptic who's like, "Nope, there's nothing, need a lot." On the flip side is the psychic who loves it, and I feel, and I'm talking. Well, how do you know that? And you have the scientist right in the middle who says, "Okay, you're going to take both aspects of that, and we're going to try to get some facts." Because for the most part, on an investigation, we're not looking for evidence per se. We're looking for truth. And sometimes the truth is there's really nothing to find there, or maybe at that moment. And, the biggest thing you hear, and this is, and I get it, believe me, I get it. There's haunted locations that they're trying to pay their mortgage by having an attraction. So they'll be like, "Yeah, we've got a ghost, and his name is Bill, and he hangs out in the corner, and he'll go with long hair, and you're blonde, he'll tug on your hair." Imagine spending eternity being a spirit, having to stand in a corner waiting for girls to come by. Like, no, they can move around. They're not fixed to a room. They can go wherever they want.
Through walls. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're the ones who have to worry about walls and stairs and travel and things like that. But I always tell investigators, don't limit yourself, because you're going to spend your whole night looking for this Bill character, and you're going to be blind to all the other spirits that are going to make themselves, they're curious about you or that want to contact you. And if you don't get Bill, then you feel like you failed, and that's not the case.
Yeah, and for me as a medium, psychic medium, providing evidence that is enough proof that I'm talking to someone, which often is not their name, address, and phone number. Like you said, people don't just walk up to you and say stuff like that.
Yeah.
But their personalities come through, or phraseologies or mannerisms, or sometimes I'll get a sense of what they looked like as well, or whatever. And those things accumulate to provide evidence. That scenario that you put up of people saying, we've got Bill and he's in the corner, that's kind of directive in terms of people's experience. I guess it's really important as an investigator to be really neutral then too, so that you don't bias your findings with preconceived ideas.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I think, and this was always even when I was a skeptic, I felt that a lot of times people go in and they will find exactly what they're looking for. If you go in thinking, I'm going to find this, you'll find a way to make the facts fit.
Yeah.
Or if you're a skeptic, there will be no proof that is enough, so you will actively blind yourself to that. And for me, when I was skeptical, let me clarify, I am still skeptical. I consider myself a skeptical believer.
Yeah.
I know the phenomenon exists. It's the people who report it I don't always believe. But I felt I was blind to a lot of things. So in recent years, I've tried to go back and look at some of my recordings and look at some of the tapes of those earlier cases. And it's happened where, we go back and like, oh, wow, we missed this great EVP. Oh, wow, well, we missed that because we weren't ready for it.
Or your thoughts were directed in one. Yeah, we call it among us mediums and stuff, overlays and projections, where you overlay a situation, like you expect maybe somebody who's crossed over to have, it's so unique to each person, but you expect, oh, well, they went through the tunnel and met Jesus or whatever. It's so individual, and those overlays and the projections that we can put on a situation because of our own personal experience, and assuming that because it happened to us that it's the same for everybody else. Those are the things that really bifurcate the value of a reading or a contact with a spirit, by staying true to the authenticity of what actually is occurring, rather than jumping to some Pollyanna conclusion or dark.
Well, that's the problem that we encounter with quote unquote the science community, because they say our findings aren't repeatable. They're, it's hard. You can't do it within a laboratory setting. And again, this is not the atomic weight of an element. This is not tracking weather pattern. You're dealing with spirit, which is essentially personalities. And I challenge them to have any two people do the exact same thing the same way ever.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're human beings. We have our patterns, and we like to have our routines. But even so, there's minute differences and changes, and we adjust and flow. And how,
yes.
I say this on my lectures too, how could I possibly write a formula that would equate you? And then how much would I have to change to equate the next person, and so on. So
Great.
I feel that our area can still be considered science without including that laboratory necessities. Like we're apart. I mean, paranormal meaning apart from. It is what it is, and just like you can't explain why some people love something and others hate that very same thing, you can't prove it. It just is. And, you were deal with.
You were talking about the three components, the three pillars: the psychic, the skeptic, and the scientist. You actually developed a game for people too, called The Three Pillars, right? That's what it's called, right?
I did, yes.
Tell us.
I wanted to be vague. I wanted to be vague when we made the game. It was, I forget what year it was, but we went to this annual convention called Phenomenology in Gettysburg, and every year that we went there, we put it on ourselves that, oh, we got to have something new. We have to make sure that every year we show up, we have something new to present, something new to sell, because we were never the type to just show up and say, hey, we're here. I mean, there's plenty of tables with the black T-shirt crews with their K2 meters and recorders, and they're like, hey, look, we're a team. Great. We don't need 15 tables of those people just sitting there taking up space. We wanted to be proactive and say, here's our new documentary. But this one particular year, we were nowhere near ready to edit anything together. We were nowhere near finished new documentary. So I started to panic. And I said, oh, man, we need something new to show. We need something new to bring. And I got it in my head to take, I was going to take the easy way out at first. I said, oh, let's just make a deck of cards with paranormal images on them, and I'll go have them printed up, and it's something people can have. And that's never been enough for me. I'm a creative person. So I said, well, maybe let's make a game. And my buddy Chris, he's the skeptic and scared. He was like, yeah, well, what do you think? And over the conversation, over 3 nights, we came up with the basic rules for this game that became the Three Pillars. And within a week, I had most of the art and most of the game itself done. Now, we called it the Three Pillars A because that's, we want it reflects in the game the way we build our team. And there's a lot of hidden education in the game. We like the people to have fun and learn. And I think, and maybe you've had a different experience in the paranormal. The thing that we call paradrama is very much alive. It's out there.
Paradrama?
The game.
What do you mean by paradrama?
Well, just, people just can't be happy for you, and there's very high competition for no reason. So if we called it the scared card game, people would be like, I'm going to have my own card game, and why is it the scared card game? And then I'm thinking, well, I don't want to go too generic and have paranormal adventure card game, because that's not
right.
Me. So I figured, let's keep it vague. It's the
I
pillars.
like it.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
It's mysterious. You don't know what it is.
Yeah, and it's kind of got, I don't know, it's much more intriguing. It's got that kind of echo of Dungeons and Dragons or something. I don't know whether it functions that way, but it feels more adventurous.
I mean, marketing-wise, we go to game conventions, and they have no idea what it's about, because since they're not in the paranormal, literally, we made this game for this convention to go to show up and to have paranormal people play the game.
Right. Oh, it sounds fun.
It's funny.
Welcome back. If you missed the first half of the show, or you'd like to listen to past episodes, you can find them on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and put in Medium Tracy Lockwood, and you'll find them. Please subscribe when you're there. And I think you have to hit the little bell if you want notifications of our weekly episodes and other goodies that we post up there. So I hope you do. If you would be interested in contacting our guest, his website is neverstopsearching.com. Hey, Brian J. Cano, welcome back.
Good to be back.
We were just talking about the Three Pillars game that you created, and it's sort of a paranormal investigation, education, fun game. And I guess people could find that on your website at neverstopsearching.com.
That's correct. The minute you get to the landing page, you're given a choice to either look into paralosophy, look up a little bit more about the Three Pillars, go back and see some old Scared episodes, or just click the Brian icon and see where I'm going to be in the next few months. So neverstopsearching.com is your one-stop portal to possibility.
Awesome. Love it. Speaking of portals, I wanted to ask you what you thought about portals. How would you describe them, and have they come into play in your work?
Admittedly, I don't know enough about them to wax about them in any intelligent manner. I mean, we all hear about them. You hear about mirrors possibly being portals to the other side, and mirrors facing each other being very dangerous. And you hear about certain locations along ley lines that create vortexes that act as portals. But I don't have any hard data about portals, other than it seems like certain locations seem to focus energy to either amplify what's already there or pull in neighboring energy. Knickerbocker Hotel, off the top of my head, is one of those places that I feel like there's so much going on, and it's constantly receiving more energy all the time that if someone said, hey, there's a portal there, I would probably nod and go, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Oh, very interesting. I think that's an exceptional definition for someone who claims not to be that official with it. I thought that was awesome. Good job. Good job. I know in small areas, sometimes the energy is compressed. I know one of the traditions in people developing their mediumistic abilities is to sit in a cabinet. Now, I never did because I just never needed to and didn't, but some people find it helpful. And a cabinet is basically just an enclosed space. Some people make them out of curtains. They say, bathrooms and hallways and closets and that kind of thing condense the energy. What do you think about that?
I find that interesting. Not being a medium myself, I would have no ideas on how one would prepare, but the one thing that I have come to over the years is that we all have abilities. We all have, it's a sense, and people, it's the sixth sense. Well, yeah, we all have it, just as varying degrees. And those who are considered gifted are those who can more readily, accessibly use it. And it takes practice, just like anything else. You have to train your ears, you have to train your eyes. Everything that we do isn't fresh out of the box, ready to go. And a lot of people who come to this very early on are confused because for so many of us, this is not something that we have actively. So you get a lot of children who see things and are told, you're just making things up, stop it. And I feel like the more this is accepted, it can be nurtured, and it could be brought to something that is not so mystifying. Because again, to me, psychics, they're not infallible, they're not superhuman, they're not omnipotent or omniscient. So
definitely not.
You meet a lot of them who feel they are. So
that's so funny. It's just tickling me that you said the term omniscient, because I want to have a T-shirt that says I'm clairvoyant, not omniscient. That's hilarious. Oh my God. It's
and
so
here's
true.
The thing. You also got to remember, since it's a sense, you're interpreting the information that's coming in, and you're giving it to us in the way that you understand it. But just like any other sense, seeing is not believing, hearing is not believing. We can be wrong. So those messages that are being translated through the human body and given to people who are asking, am I going to get married? Am I going to have money? All that stuff. It's, hey, your guess is as good as mine, but you're tapping into something that is, if you want to call it the universe or the collective unconscious or whatever it is, that's definitely, that's out there. And
I think of it
to listen to it.
Yeah, I think of it kind of like a matrix of information, and it's like channels of energy. And if you go down this path, this is the most likely consequence. And if you go down that path, this is the most likely consequence. But I don't think, like, there are some things that I do think are written for us because I think we agreed to them before we came into this body. Maybe how long we stay in the body. There might be very few other things that are just carved in stone for us by our will at a higher level. But when we come into this world, it's all about the expression of will and self and learning, and absolutely free will is important, and free thinking is important too. We're not automatons, and I always get kind of tickled when I have to sort of train a client to not use me like some kind of vending machine, like, yes or no, yes or no. Am I supposed to stay with him? Yes or no? Or is he coming back? Yes or no? And it's like,
Well, this brings up something that,
it's more
yeah, I mean,
complicated than that. It's not a simple yes, no. And if I told you
if
yes,
only.
are you stupid? Would you just listen to me? Like, you need to know, why is it that way? What are the personality factors? What are the risk factors? What's going on there? It's big.
Well, this circles me back to the first question you asked me about perspective and how I've changed over the years. There's an excellent movie on this topic it's not a popular movie, but it's a great movie. What Dreams May Come, with Robin Williams. Now, when it first came out, it followed Mrs. Doubtfire, so everyone was high on Robin Williams and hello and all the
yes.
Then he comes out with a movie about the afterlife and suicide and it's heavy stuff. I didn't see it until I think it was 2011. I think it came out in 1999. I hadn't seen it I didn't see it once, and I'm glad I waited all those years to see it, because if I saw it when it first came out, I wouldn't have understood it. I wouldn't have been ready for it. I would have thought it was dumb and boring, and I was not prepared or in the right mindset to receive that information. But when I did see it, and if you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend it. It just makes sense. It's just, this makes sense. And it's one of those things where the soul that chooses to come back on its journeys, it says, okay, you know what? This is going to happen to you. This is something I'm going to do. Yes, I'm going to plot out my life. These are the points I want to get to. How those points are going to play out, not sure, but this is the package I'm signing up for. And it seems to make sense. And it's a good movie. If you haven't seen it, What Dreams May Come, with Robin Williams.
Yeah, I'll check it out. I may have seen it, but I don't recall it, so I probably haven't seen it. I haven't.
It's sad, so bring tissues, and if you're having a good day, maybe put it off to another day. But it's very poignant about what we do.
I just love that there is more to life than what we can see, hear, touch, sense in the physical world. I find it just amazing. I have a past life memory of being a ghost, and I thought I would share that with you. It's kind of strange to say that, because for a long time I didn't even really believe in past lives, and then I started having what most definitely were memories. But in that situation, I was in a hotel room with a lover, and we just kind of started kissing, and then we kind of fell apart laughing, and we just realized actually that we weren't going to do, that we were just really more friends than anything. And the next part of it was that I noticed that there were some kids throwing apples outside, just, picking them from a tree and throwing them. And it really upset me that they were throwing apples. I felt like they were wasting it, like we could make a pie with those apples. So I went out to chastise them and to collect some of the apples with that intent. And I reached down to the ground, and my hand passed through an apple. And that made me realize that I wasn't in my physical body. And I had been very upset because I had people coming into the room. They had been coming into the room, and I was asking them, where's my stuff? And they weren't listening. They were completely not hearing me. But when I realized that I had passed, I flashed back into being back in the room before I passed, and the door, somebody knocked on the door, and I had opened the door, and his wife had shot me in the face. And I had no recall of that at the time. But once I did, then I was able to transfer my awareness back to my true lover, who had a child, and he was sitting in the library very depressed. And I went up to him, and in my ghost body, I guess, and told him, I'm so sorry. I didn't actually cheat on you, and I love you, and a tear fell, and then I went to the light. And that experience has marked how I sort of view some of the experiences, of course, each person being so different. But I like that you come at it from sort of an ethical perspective. What would you say on the ethics of paranormal investigation? Do you have any that you would?
I think there needs to be a more focus on ethics, because for the most part, I feel like a lot of people mean well and definitely want to help, or even if they want that glory of recognition along with it, that's okay too. It is what it is. But I feel that of the thousands of teams across the country, the important things to them seem to be, we got to get our black T-shirts, we got to get our logos, we got to get our name that fits into a weird acronym just so that it has Paranormal Society at the end. And these things aren't important. And again, I can make fun of them because I've made those mistakes.
Oh yeah.
I know what's not important anymore. And I feel that, you say you want to help people, but who are you helping? How are you helping? By watching a TV show and then imitating it. If I were wanted to be a doctor, I can't watch Grey's Anatomy and then go operate on someone the next day. And if I did, shame on them for hiring me.
Right.
So I feel like the ethics is very much a part of Paralosophy, in that I want people to slow down and think about not only what it is they're doing, why they're doing it, but why they should be doing it.
Yeah.
And for the most part, and again, you might have a different perspective on this. I've never been one to engage in quote unquote spirit rescue, because even as a skeptic, and even now, I feel that, all right, you know what, the universe is operating the way it should. I'm not going to meddle with it. I'll observe it. I'll interact where I can, but who am I rescuing? That's like human hubris to say, I'm going to rescue you. And those are
it's
people
very
that
arrogant.
become dangerous.
Yeah, it's very arrogant.
Yes,
even from like a Christian perspective, which I can't say I fall completely under either, but that the man has free will. Even God doesn't violate somebody's will. And I do think that we have a very codependent view of, well, we have to help the spirits over their suffering. And I'm not saying that can't be done. I do work with people on house clearing and, that kind of thing. But like each person is in a particular state of mind. There's a reason that they are where they are. And it's sort of like, if they don't ask your help, then what are you doing? Do you really know what's best for that? And do you really think that it's going to stick? Or, it really is. I'm with you on that. I really am with you on that. I'm not sure.
I go back to the doctor example. Like, okay, you and I are hanging out with a third party, and the third party's like, oh my God, my side hurts. I think my appendix burst. Help. We can either go, we're going to help, and I cut him open, or we call a doctor. We bring him to the emergency room. There's appropriate channels. And I know, and again, a lot of these people respond to the call with the best of intentions, but I really think pump the brakes. And it's okay to go, I can't help you, or I don't know, or hey, this is beyond me. And a lot of people don't do that because they feel that we've got the black shirts on, we've got the name, we got to get our name out there, and we got to solve the case.
Yes, yeah.
And they make things worse.
And it can be upsetting to someone, like that example that I gave of how it was to feel confused as a ghost. Like, I don't know, like if somebody had walked in the room, or, some of the people I'd asked, like, where's my stuff, and said, go to the light, I'd be like, you're talking gibberish. It would have totally not made any sense to me at all, because I just wanted to know where my stuff was. I didn't realize that I had passed, and then the natural process that occurs as and I think that's one of the beautiful things about the other side, is that there is, because it's outside of time, we're given as much AKA time as we need to adapt to our circumstance and to, we're not in a hurry. It's an eternity. We live forever. So, we can take our time to process harm and grief and to work our way through loops and insanity of thinking and different things till we're ready. And when we're ready, just in the twinkling of an eye, in a flash, it's all about the perspective. It's all about the perception. Once that perspective shifts, boom, it's done. You're there. It's like an epiphany. It just happens that quickly for people. And it doesn't mean that's the last point of destination. There are so many levels of existence on the other side too. I don't know. Anyway, do you do anything to prepare energetically for your investigations, like protection or emotionally, or what do you do to prepare?
I'm bad when it comes to protection because I don't really follow any specific faith. I was raised Catholic, and there's no atheists in foxholes. But over the years, I pretty much just ignored everything. People always ask me, "Oh, did anything ever follow you home?" And my answer always was, "Well, if anything did, it would get bored and leave because I don't pay it any attention." That's different from protection.
Right, so that's the right answer. Actually, lower vibrational beings, I call them attention whores because they just want your focus, and energy follows focus. Yeah. And if you walked by a creepy guy in the store, you could freak yourself out and stare at him and go, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's a creepy guy. Yeah. Oh my God." Or you could just go ahead and do your shopping and leave,
Yeah. I mean, Facebook has been very good for training me to ignore those people. So
yeah,
I as far as protection, like there's deflection and then there's protection. And protection I'm not great with because I'm still questioning, so I wouldn't know what works. However, I do have a couple of things that friends have given me to take with me and whatnot, and there's a little bit of a mixed bag, so I'm not even sure if stuff cancels other stuff out. But John's always telling me it's not so much the what, but as long as you have belief in something, that's a help that gives you some protection. And when I do investigations, when I come off of it, I kind of do the mental, all right, and no one's allowed to follow me. Everyone's stay where you are. Lately, I've been saging. Just a little added measure. But protection-wise, it's like a toolbox, It's not like there's one tool that can completely. There's no bulletproof vest for this. So
exactly.
You do the best you can. I do the best I can. And if things go wrong, it happens. Stuff goes wrong in your life. There's sicknesses and reversals of fortunes, and sometimes people go, "Oh, that must be the spirits. That must be something demonic." No, it's life.
It happens. Life. Yeah, most of the time it's just life, and it's something for us to take a challenge. Like go for a hike up Mount Everest. It's. If we're in the physical world, we're not wimps. That's what I think. So.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like, all right, if we chose all this stuff, how does one know that you didn't choose all the hardships that are happening to you?
Well, some of them are necessary for contrast. You can't have a bright and shiny star without a dark backdrop, right? So.
Of course.
How can you be the good guy and the rescuer if there isn't anyone to rescue? Oh, I have really enjoyed it, Brian. I could have talked quite a bit longer, but we have come to the end of the hour. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And if you want to reach Brian, you can find him at his website at neverstopsearching.com. If you want to find me, I'm at mediumtracylockwood.com. I